Jose Young's here with MMAfighting.com, standing next to Angela Overkill Hill here at the UFC's 2019 Hall of Fame ceremony. But we're here to preview UFC 239. It goes down tomorrow. Now, Angela, there's a lot of storylines going into this. It is International Fight Week. They do try to stack this. But we're going to start with the main event. John Jones, who many consider the greatest of all time, either 1A, 1B, usually with him, George, Daniel Cormier, it's that trilogy, facing Thiago Santos, who has been on a tear since moving up to light heavyweight. August last year, he was a middleweight. He went up to 205, short notice fight, won, and just stuck with it. Ran through Jimmy Manuwa, ran through Jan Blachowicz. Now he gets John Jones, kind of a big step up in competition. What do you make of this fight? And does Thiago Santos actually have a shot against John Jones?
Oh yeah, he definitely has a shot. I mean, obviously John Jones, he's amazing. He's so good. He's so talented. He understands what he's looking at in the fight. Like a lot of people aren't able to switch it up on the go, but John Jones is able to, like, whenever he faces any little bit of adversity in the cage, he's able to kind of adjust and fix it and use it to counter and even end the fight a lot of times. So I think it's not likely that he gets the knockout. But I mean, when you have these guys moving up a weight class, suddenly they have this power, like they're going in healthier. They have like more water in their brain. They're able to take some in order to give some. So I think if he ever had a chance, is at 205, after coming up a weight class and having that success with just feeling his power, feeling that knockout punch.
Now, John Jones, his past opponents like Alexander Gustafsson, especially Daniel Cormier, these guys, there's a little bit of a grudge between John Jones and his opponents. And you can see it all fight week. He gets a little agitated when around these guys. But when we spoke to him, he said he was unusually calm, and he wasn't taking him lightly, but he wasn't concerned about the fight. From the optics looking in, is that dangerous for a fighter to basically be like, well, I'm not worried about his power. I'm not really worried about him.
No, I think he's a smart fighter, so he's always going to look at what could happen. But a lot of times, fighters get held back by thinking too much about, like, how could I possibly lose? Like, he's just looking at the avenues to win the fight, so he can look at a fighter that comes straight forward like Santos and just see where he can throw the counters, where he can slip, where he can shoot. And I think that's a good mindset for someone to have, especially a champ with so much pressure on you, wanting to retain that greatest of all-time status, wanting to, make a big comeback after so much time off, so much drama associated with him being champion. So yeah, I think that's a good mindset to have. Yeah.
So moving to the co-main event, John Jones he doesn't refer to her as his teammate. He refers to her as his sister. Holly Holm is facing Amanda Nunes, who, speaking of GOAT, a lot of people consider Amanda Nunes the greatest female fighter of all time, especially after her knockout of Chris Cyborg, which actually won Knockout of the Year and Upset of the Year at the World MMA Awards. So, and she took home Female Fighter of the Year. So 3 trophies for Amanda Nunes. Last week in LA, we spoke to her, and she said Holly Holm is the last champion she hasn't beaten, and she's very much looking forward to this. She wants to cement herself as the greatest female fighter of all time. What do you make of this matchup? Do you give Holly a shot? Because I asked her, do you see holes in her game? Because against Cyborg, she came in with a game plan. She says Misha exposed her, Valentina exposed her, Jermaine Durandamy exposed her. The holes are out there. Cyborg exposed her. What do you make of this? And does Holly have a shot to dethrone who many consider the greatest female fighter of all time?
I think it's gonna be a tough night for Holly. Like, to be honest, like she is a trooper. She goes in there. She has great fights against most of the people that she's lost to. She's still shown up. She's still done really well. It could have gone either way any other night, and she's just had a lot of bad luck with the losses that she's gotten, I feel like, in the past. So that's why she keeps getting the title shots. People still respect her. They still want to see her fight. But I think Nunes has proven, like, with her performance against, like, even Valentina Shevchenko, with her performance against Cyborg, like, she's proven that, it's easy to look at the holes from the outside perspective, but once you're in there, once you're getting hit, once you feel like, your brain getting rattled, it's a little different, and it's harder to think to think on your feet in that moment. So yeah, I'm excited for this fight. I think it's going to be a really tough fight for Holly Holm. I mean, her last fight with Megan Anderson, she showed some grappling, so it'll be interesting if she shows that in this fight too. But I think Nunes might win that exchange. But yeah, I think Holly has a little more finesse with her kicks and stuff, but Nunes just has that power and that aggression. So yeah, I'm excited for this
Well, you
fight.
brought up the Megan Anderson fight, and earlier you said Thiago Santos probably have the most success at light heavyweight because he has like water in his brain, he's not dehydrated and everything. Both of Amanda Nunes and Holly Holm's last fight was at featherweight. This fight is at bantamweight. Will that play a factor? Because Amanda did need to bring out the hoop to weigh in. She didn't look the best on the scale, but she made weight. Both of them did. Will that play a factor in the fact that they're both coming down 10 pounds from their previous fight?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I think Holm is the bigger girl. I think Nunes, like, as soon as she was done with the fight at 145, she was like, I'm not a 45er. Like, maybe she felt like the weight cut was too easy. She felt like Cyborg was too big when she faced off with her afterwards. So, yeah, I think Nunes is a natural 35er. I think Holly's made it enough time that she's proven she's a natural 35er too. But you never know. I've never heard her complain about the weight cut, either one of them. So I think they'll be all right.
So moving on to the fight before, just from the numbers we've seen online, yes, the main and co-main are feature arguably the best pound for pound male and female of all time. But the most interest is in the fight before that between Ben Askren and Jorge Masvidal.
Got my Masvidal shirt on.
Jorge Masvidal has been on record saying he wants to, quote, end the Askren bloodline. He's never faced someone with more animosity than he has with Askren. They've actually run into each other, and there's been some back and forth. We asked him, how do you see this fight going? He says, painfully and brutally. When asked, what's the difference between fighting Till and fighting Askren? He says, when I knocked out Till, he eventually woke up. I can't say the same thing is going to happen to Askren. So what do you make of this matchup? And Masvidal is going in very angry, very aggressive. Ben Askren says, I don't hate Jorge Masvidal. That's unhealthy. Like, I don't hate anyone like that. What do you make of this matchup? And there's so much bad blood between these two. And it's only 3 rounds. Ben Askren's second fight after that, controversial Robbie Lawler win.
Man, it's a crazy one. You know, I feel like he still might be a little rattled. Askren might be a little rattled after that, like, almost spike that he got hit with. But yeah, it's a crazy matchup, man. Like, I really love the way Jorge Masvidal fights. Like, if I were to emulate someone, his last performances, like, that's what I would want to emulate. Just going in, just, like switching stances, coming forward with that, 3-piece in the soda, and just unleashing the hands, and I love his styles like that. I love that about him. But then you have Askren, who's just like an ace in wrestling, ace in grappling. Like, he's just like, he's a mean grappler. Like, he makes grappling look a little more exciting than what Dana is usually complaining about, So he's like happy to have him on board. But yeah, it's gonna be a really interesting fight. It's a straight up like style matchup fight. It's like striker versus wrestler, and yeah. Hopefully I see him put the hands on him.
So you favor Masvidal in this matchup, though?
Yeah, I think I just like him better. I haven't seen Askren that much, so I'm not as familiar with him. But, he did exist before he got brought into the UFC. So he's like a legit competitor, undefeated. He's super nasty on the ground. And yeah, he's rocking the dad bod. So you gotta like respect that. Come in like what? He has tons of water in his brain. So it might be a little hard to knock him out.
And looking at the rest of the card, main card, prelims, all fights top to bottom. Are there any other fights that stand out to you? We do have Luke Rockhold making his debut at light heavyweight against Jan Blachowicz. We have Diego Sanchez, who won the Ultimate Fighter 1, go against Michael Chiesa, who won the Ultimate Fighter 15. We have a fight in your weight class, Claudia Gadelha and Ronda Marcos. We have another fight with someone you're familiar with, Gilbert Melendez, making his long-awaited return against Arnold Allen. And to put that fight into perspective, I brought this little fact to Gilbert, and he laughed in my face. When Arnold Allen made his professional debut, he was 0-0. Gilbert Melendez was getting ready to fight Benson Henderson for the UFC championship. What? And I told Arnold Allen that. He goes, yeah, I think I was like 15. when that happened?
That's gross. I'm so mad at him for being 15.
He is on a little bit of a tear. He's unranked, but he said a win over Gilbert Melendez should get him into that top 15. We haven't seen Gilbert since his loss in 2017 to Jeremy Stevens, but are there any other fights on this card that really stand out to you?
Well, we have my boy Chance Rinkentor. The Black Eagle, he's fighting some guy. I don't know. I didn't pay too much attention to his name, but he's going to be fighting second card on the fight, so I'm excited about that. Also, you have Panny. She's coming in from Invicta, so I'm excited to see her scrap as well. And the girl she's fighting looks like a fun personality. So
self-described geo-nerd. She was very excited about this earthquake, and she was breaking it all down for us. So she got a lot of fans online.
She has layers.
Julia Avila is her name.
Crest.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited about this whole card. Like, I'm gonna be there from the first fight, so there's a lot of fun things. Obviously, I'm gonna be watching the strawweight card. What a really hard loss for me to take was the one against Randa, so I'm excited to see like what she does against Gedalia. Hopefully that sees where I am in the whole picture, but I think it's a really crazy matchup, the two of them. I think it's one that should have happened a long time ago, and Randa's just had a lot of bad luck as well, a win here, but then she'll get a loss that was kind of close. So I think this is going to be like, hopefully for her coming out fight, but I don't know. I think Gedalia looked a little wobbly in her fight against Carla. I think she showed some holes in her game, and you never know. Randa might land something on her too. But she's definitely the favorite. Gedalia is definitely the favorite for this fight. So it's going to be interesting. I feel like the strawweight division has been getting shaken up a lot. So yeah, fun fights all around.
And for me, one fight I do want to bring attention to is Jack Marchand versus Edmund Shabazi. I don't know if you know anything about that, but that fight was under the radar. And Jack Marchand really sold it on me, where I think he has like 30-some professional fights, and he's an underdog against Edmund, who's making his 10th fight or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And that was a low-key, really intense stare. And I was like, what? He's like, what? You think I'm afraid of you? And Edmund's like, what are you talking about? So I'm low-key super psyched on that. But anything else you want to say on this card?
I don't really know much about those guys. Obviously, undefeated guy, people are going to be like, oh, he's undefeated. Obviously, he's going to beat this guy with tons of experience, but like that's definitely not the case.
Sure.
The whole card is exciting. I'm thrilled. Thrilled to be here. Thrilled to watch it live.
Well, for Angela Hill, I'm Jose Youngs. I think they're getting ready to do the Hall of Fame red carpet behind us. So we're gonna end this. UFC 239 goes down tomorrow. You can stick at MMAfighting.com and the YouTube page for all of your content, post-fight interviews, everything. See you then.